Good morning, stroke afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Cherries Red Army YouTube channel. I'm Kirk. It's 45 minutes till kickoff, and this is Lineups Live in a glorious Bournemouth. AFC Bournemouth take on Brentford at 12:30 in their latest championship match. Jonathan Woodgate's picked his starting 11, and me and Aaron are going to go through that in more detail and reflect. How you doing, Aaron?
Yeah, very good. Thank you. Good morning, everybody.
And you can take part throughout the next 20-25 minutes, letting us know your thoughts on that team, and we'll get your score predictions at the end. If you're watching on YouTube, we'll really appreciate a like and also subscribe if you haven't already. So Chris Temple's tweeted already, Aaron. He's given us a photographic image of the pitch and the conditions. It looks lovely, and we'll get into the teams in a minute, but an opportunity for two teams who may face off in a few weeks' time in the playoffs.
Yeah, it looks like a glorious setting. Desperate to be there, but unfortunately we'll have to make do with the screen still for now. Yeah, it's an interesting one today. It really is interesting. Both teams have a very, very outside chance of second and a very, very outside chance of not making it. But realistically, both are set in the playoffs. It's just a case of which position we're going to finish in. Dress rehearsal, some would think, for potentially the final. So yeah, it's an interesting one to see how both managers are going to approach it. Obviously, we want to continue our winning streak, but maybe just looking after some players as well.
We may not be in the Premier League right now, but we still have a pitch that deserves to be in the Premier League. And let's just reflect quickly, Aaron, on the press conference from yesterday that Jonathan Woodgate had. Lloyd Kelly, the injury looks not too bad, may miss a couple of games. So we'll take a look who's replaced him. But your thoughts on that? And Shane Long has gone back to Southampton to get some treatment on an injury he has.
Yeah, thanks for the memory, Shane. And good luck in the future. Kelly. Hopefully it's not as bad as we feared it might have been. It's very difficult to tell with these ankle injuries. I had scans, and as you say, Jonathan said in his press conference that obviously out today and likely to be out for the Wycombe match, which potentially means he should be back for either Stoke or certainly the playoffs, which would be a big boost. But a chance for Diego Rico to get some minutes, as we'll come on to. But yeah, as ever, Jonathan Woodgate takes it game by game. Only interested in today, not looking further ahead, and that's been his mantra pretty much ever since he took over.
We're going for a record 8 consecutive win. But the last 7, in a sense, has been easy for him to pick. He said he's going to pick a starting 11 and he's going to stick to that. And bar maybe one player here or there, he stuck with his word. Now we're in a bit of a delicate position where goal difference guarantees us the playoffs, if we're being completely honest. But we're coming up against a team that, we may come up against in a final in the playoff for the big money moment into the Premier League. I mean, this is delicately balanced for Jonathan Woodgate.
Yeah, it's this is why he's paid the money and we're not, I guess. It's a difficult one. I mean, I can only speak from my own personal viewpoint. It's a really funny feeling today. Do we want to thrash them out the park and play them off the park? Are we likely to repeat that if we play them again in the playoffs, giving all our secrets away or whatever it might be? So it's a very difficult one. I think I would certainly look after certain players. Certain players wouldn't be playing 90 minutes. I think it's these next 3 games are going to be interesting. Obviously, it's all about momentum. You want to go into the playoffs momentum. That would be 10 wins in a row. As has been said, will we then get another 3 and make it 13 in a row? At some stage, we might come unstuck. So maybe it's best to come unstuck in the next 3 games and as you said, to have some sort of reset. Not that you want to lose football matches. So it's a difficult one. But in my mind, it's not a must win today by any stretch, obviously, but psychologically it'll be important to maybe get a win over them, but just come out of it injury free would be the key for me.
Right, we're going to take a look at the lineups in just a moment, but first, I don't want your score prediction right now, but I do want to know who you think will win the game. So just one word: Brentford, Bournemouth, or a draw. Okay, so put that in the chat right now as we look at the opposition. We'll get them on the screen first. So your Brentford team to take on Bournemouth today is Raya, Janssen, Norgard, Pinnock, Roslev, Janelt, Jensen, Fosu, Canos, Ford, and Tony, and hopefully you can see the subs bench as well that does have Mbomo on there. Now we'll come to some players in a minute, Aaron, but this is a team that have won 20 matches in the league, 10 home, 10 away, dangerous at home as well as away, and have scored one less goal than us over the season.
Yeah, I mean they're hard to beat. I think they haven't lost many games. They've drawn an awful lot recently, so we've overtaken them obviously. But I think that's not due to the fact that they're losing so much. So they're certainly going to be a tough nut to crack. I think a part of them will potentially feel that they have missed out again on automatic promotion. I know we felt that we should be pushing for that, but we haven't really been up there for most of the season. Certainly pushing on top two. Brentford, I think, will feel another opportunity missed out. So it depends how they regroup after last year's upset of losing out in the playoffs. But it looks like they've gone relatively strong as to who they've got available. And of course, they're going to be a handful on their day. They're one of the best teams in the division.
Okay, let's get to him. Ivan Toney. I think Brentford paid less than £10 million for him. 29 goals. He's been stuck on that for about 3 games now. He needs 1 for 30. Can we keep him quiet? And also, he's had 8 penalties this season and converted every single one. So we need to be careful in the box when they're on the attack.
Yeah, I mean, Cookie and CCV, I think, will certainly be able to cope with him. He's a handful. He's a focal point. Unlike us, he's pretty much taken the burden of goals on by himself. So, obviously, as well as marking him and making sure he's kept quiet, we've got to stop this supply to him. He is going to be a handful. He's a great player. We know what he can do. But yeah, I think we've got more than enough for him. He played against better strikers than him and kept them relatively quiet.
Look, last season, right at the end, I think they lost the last 2 games, which pushed them into the playoffs, and then they didn't get over the line against Fulham. I mean, will that experience help them as the season sort of finishes up to 46 and into the playoffs?
I think it's always very difficult. As was said on your great show last night, Ben was saying, in the past, teams have had different approaches. Huddersfield a few years ago rested players. They lost a couple of their games when they were already there, but then they went and won the playoffs. They kept their players fresh. Other people like to go in with a bit of momentum. So it's difficult to know. And as Mark Pugh pointed out, Middlesbrough, had 3 years in a row or something like that. So experience doesn't always count for anything. It's very difficult. I think people know this is essentially the dress rehearsal for potentially a semi-final, but more likely a final if we both were to win our semi-final. So I think both managers might be a bit cagey about how they approach certain things. Obviously, they know a lot about each other. Nothing's going to be necessarily a secret. But as we'll come to the lineups, maybe certain players aren't playing or given a break or won't play the whole game.
We're happy Cherries fans at the moment in a glorious sunny Bournemouth. And how are you feeling about today's game? Not score predictions yet, but Chris has gone for a Bournemouth win. Brentford win. Bournemouth. Hope for Bournemouth, but it might be a draw. Bournemouth, Cherries. Yeah, and it was a Brentford back 3 as it looks like, and also another Bournemouth. So, yeah, we're feeling positive then. Might get another 3 points, another win and take it to 8. Well, who has Jonathan Woodgate picked for this team? We're going to take a look right now. They're the one that's going to take on Brentford. Let's take a look. In goal, number 1, Asmir Begovic. Captain, Steve Cook. Number 8, Jeff Lerma. 9, Dom Solanke. 10, Arne Danjuma. 11, Jack Wilshere. 15, Adam Smith. 18, Cameron Carter-Vickers. 19, Junior Stanislas. 21, Diego Rico. And 29, Philip Billing. On the bench, we have Travers, Stacey, Mepham, Kilkenny, Pearson, Anthony, Riquelme, Brooks, and Surridge. So Rico comes in, Aaron, for Lloyd Kelly. I think we expected that following the press conference from Jonathan Woodgate yesterday when he said he preferred a left footer. But 4 changes. Pearson out. Wilshere plays at home again.
Yeah, I'm not surprised there's changes. I'm not sure that Wilshere's necessarily going to be in at home in the home leg of the playoffs. I think this is more a case of Pearson, who's been outstanding, played 2.5 days ago and needs a rest. So it's an obvious one for Jack to come in and get some minutes because we really might need him to have an impact in the playoffs should we need it. And I think Junior Stanislas, again, needs minutes for sure. And I think it's great to hopefully have him, if not all 90, the most of the game. So I'm no surprises really. Diego obviously had to come in for Lloyd's injury, and again the rotation of Smith and Stacey, who was excellent against Millwall, but again just 2.5 days ago. He was never going to make more than four changes. But as I've said before, I want to protect our number 10. I want to protect our number 29. Well, I want to protect all of them, obviously, but I think I'll be surprised if Arnie plays the whole game. And also want to give Billing a rest at some stage. We just need to be a bit careful. Brooksy's obviously having a rest today. So yeah, I think it's about right. You don't want to chop and change too much, keep the momentum, but protecting certain players. And I think we might see some of those starting today, maybe being rested against Wickham and Stoke at some stage.
Philip Billing returning the best season of his career. He must have a bubbling smile on his face every day he wakes up, goes into training, and on match days as well. A player that I can't see a Bournemouth team without at the moment. And if he gets on the ball in between our attacking players and those two holding players, and he scores the first goal, we might win the football match.
Yeah, well, that's been the pattern, hasn't it? Yeah, he's been outstanding, and I think you're right. I can't imagine him not being there now, which is why I want to, just go easy with him, protect him a little bit. He played the whole 90 against Millwall. So again, I don't think he. I won't say will. I don't think he should be playing 90 minutes today. I think we want to just save him a little, save his legs. Again, any injuries. Yeah, you can't wrap them all up in cotton wool and not play them for the next 3 games. But I just got to be a bit clever. So yeah, he's been outstanding, and it has been a key in that front four.
This has got to be delicate the way I word this, but if we've ever been in a football changing room before, and anyone watching right now, if you've ever been in a competitive football changing room and you've been in a situation where you're trying to win a cup game or you're trying to win a league game or a cup game's coming up, right? Now, when you've got someone like Arnaud Danjuma, who is a match winner and a playoff winner, potentially in the changing room at Brentford, and I'm looking at Pontus Jansson because I think Arnaud Danjuma will be on the other side of the graphic. Does he get a sort of mention in his ear in the changing rooms to say, let Danjuma know you're there?
I'm sure he does. And this was my worry. This is my worry for the, certainly today, because we're going to be Brentford know that they will likely be having to get past us at some stage in the playoffs if they want to get promoted. I'd like to think that wouldn't really happen, but it's just something to think about. They could have thrown out a young player in there who they don't care about, get a red card, but just take out their best player. It's cynical. But I don't think so, in the same way that we could say that about Tony, but I'm sure we won't do that.
No, that's right. And there's a few comments coming through. Yes, a point would be enough. With our goal difference, we're pretty much guaranteed the playoffs. It's now where we position ourselves in those playoffs. Third would play 6th. And I've always said I'd prefer to play Brentford over 2 legs and over 180 minutes than a one-off shootout. I mean, what's your thoughts on that, Aaron? Would you prefer to play someone like Brentford in the semis or someone like Swansea, who are probably the weakest team in the playoff places?
Yeah, it's very difficult to want to play certain teams because it might come and bite you, back on the backside. I think it was Mark Pugh who said last night that kind of form goes out the window when it comes to the playoffs. So we could want Swansea and then play them, and then RU etc. has the game of their lives or whatever it might be. So I think I would want Swansea over the 2 legs. I think it's our best chance of getting to the final, and then we'd end up obviously playing Barnsley or Brentford. I can see the thinking about more chance against Brentford over 2 legs, but I just think we've got to be confident against anyone we play. I would rather play Barnsley on the big Wembley pitch than play them over 2 legs as well on their tighter pitch. So if we were to play Barnsley, I'd like that to be at Wembley, because I think hopefully the football element will come out. I think everyone probably wants to play Swansea and probably doesn't want to play us right now, but it's going to be close. All 4 teams are quite close together and all have quite difficult games. So if you ask me now, I'd probably rather play Swansea over 2 legs, but then we know we're going to get Barnsley or Brentford in the final.
I'm just not sure if I'd rather lose in a semi or a final if we weren't to go up. That's the difficulty, but let's stay positive. And finally, if we get a result out of this game, Aaron, and we don't lose the game, I don't think this is going to go away for the next 2 matches afterwards. Do we play the kids, or do we continue to play players in form, like Mark Pugh said? Keep playing Danjuma, keep playing Solanke, and keep getting Brooks on that pitch.
Yeah, I think from everything that Jonathan Woodgate has kind of brought to the table since he got here, I think it's all about momentum for him, whilst being a bit clever. So I don't think he'll play his first 11 what I would call his first 11, which I think is probably the team from the last couple of games, maybe Smith for Stacey. But I think at the moment, amazing as Stanislas is, I think Brooks, Danjuma are probably obviously the first choice. I think Pearson and Lerma are the first choice. So, but I can see him resting Pearson obviously today, maybe Jeff over the next couple of games, and I think Brooks, Danjuma, Stanislas will alternate, and possibly even Sam Surridge given a go in the next couple of games and give Dom a rest. Possibly for Wickham, I would say. I think for the Stoke game, after a couple of weeks rest, and then you've got another 9 days to the playoff first leg, he's more likely to play his first team against Stoke, but maybe against Wickham as the likes of Surridge, etc., can get a go. Or if he does want to start strong, then bring them off. But I don't think he certainly won't play an 11 of kids or anything like that. I think we want to finish as high up as we can, but I think it's about being clever. And as I said earlier, that's why he's in the hot seat, because I generally would not know what to do. Half of me would want to wrap them all up, but you also want that momentum. You want to keep the match sharp as well.
Definitely. And we are just under 30 minutes away from the 44th match in the Championship. So you told us who you thought would win the game, but what is your official score prediction? Place it in the chat now and we'll show it on the screen in just a bit. We'll also take a look at the other fixtures going on in the league today. Some may not concern us, but we will take a look anyway. We've got Barnsley playing Rotherham, Blackburn versus Huddersfield, Cardiff against Wickham, Coventry at home to Preston, Derby versus Birmingham, Middlesbrough versus Sheffield Wednesday, Forest take on Stoke, QPR against Norwich, Watford against Millwall, and I think we've got Reading at home, I think, to Swansea tomorrow, or them two are playing. I'm not sure if it's home or away. Now, there's a slim chance of us catching Watford. I don't think it will happen as much as I'd love it to. But yeah, I mean, some of those fixtures they're playing out, the Barnsley one's an interesting one because that will probably put Reading definitely out of reach.
Yeah, I mean, Reading can only sit on watch today, and you'd expect Barnsley to beat Rotherham. Rotherham have played a lot of games. They're not winning them either, so that they're looking doomed. And Barnsley, I think, will want to secure it. It should be a home banker, that one. And that would indeed put Reading out of it, which I am pleased about, because however poor they've been, I still think Reading have the players on the day who can show up, and they would worry me more than Barnsley. And Watford, I think Watford obviously are hoping for a draw for us today, because that I think would then give them automatic promotion if we draw with Brentford, because we're the only two teams that can obviously catch them still. But if we were to beat Watford, then it might put a few jitters up them. Having said that, if Brentford were to beat us today, and then Brentford have to play Watford, it'd be interesting if Watford don't beat Millwall, but I can only see Watford beating Millwall today, the way Millwall played against us and the way Watford played against Norwich. I'm sure Watford will get those 3 points and we can put that to bed. But yeah, other than that, the rest of the games, yeah, let them play themselves out.
It's an interesting situation where we played before all of these teams, and it could have an influence on how much pressure it puts on their match at 3:00. But yeah, looking at the table, and hopefully we're still in third once our football match has completed. So let's take a look at how you're feeling about the game. Before we do that, make sure you hit the like button if you're currently watching on YouTube. If you're not a subscriber yet, why not? We had Mark Pugh last night. Really appreciate it. If you want more people like that, help the channel grow, subscribe, and it will attract more players and ex-players, and we can do more shows like that for you. So how you feeling, Morgan? Got to have a photo with Jonathan Woodgate earlier this week, so I hope you're having a good week and a good Saturday. 3-0. We got a 1-1 draw. And Daniel, how you doing? 2-1 Bournemouth. Mark Cole, thank you. Snap. 2-1. Got another 2-1. Snap. Going Brentford 3-2. Lots of goals. 2-1. 3-1 Bournemouth. 1-1. 2-1. The 3-1 is back. Sammy's backing it. 3-1. We've had it twice now, maybe 3 times. 3-2, 3-1, the famous 3-1, and a 2-1. So positive Bournemouth fans out there. Aaron, how are you feeling about the game and your score prediction?
I can't feel anything but positive. I just wonder how much is going to be, on this game. I said to you before, it'd be interesting to see actually if we're not winning the game, or even if we're losing the game on 65 minutes, whether he would still plan to take Arnie off and and bring someone else on. It would show really that he's more interested in protecting our players than a result. It's hard to bet against us winning at the moment simply because we're just winning every game. But I'm actually going to go for 1-1 draw, which I think would be fine.
And I'll snap that as well. 1-1. So, Aaron, thanks for joining me on this Lineups Live, and you'll be joining me for the match review after the game. So, looking forward to that. Thank you to everyone who's joined us for this pre-match preparation. And remember, on Back of the Net, the watch along starts soon, so you can also check in for that. But yeah, straight after the game, about an hour after, actually, we'll have a match review and the best moments from the game. So, check out that on our YouTube channel. So, both teams going pretty strong. Pre-match. Is it a pre-match sort of playoff rehearsal? Maybe. Who's going to show their hand first? We're going to find out. Cheers, everyone, for joining us. Till next video, up the Cherries. Let's get the win.